Hello and welcome to what I like to call the Hitchhiker's Guide to Solus, where we'll be taking a look at the universe and lore of Battleborn. While the game does feature a campaign, much of the lore is tucked away elsewhere, through external resources and character lore challenges. So today, I want to dive in and display the information in a readily available and informative format. Today, we're talking about the United Peacekeepers Republic, commonly referred to as the UPR. In many ways, they're the polar opposite of the rogues who we talked about last time. They're an alliance of numerous advanced democratic societies with the collective goal of halting the Varelsi incursion. As such, in addition to their seemingly benign and hopeful objectives, they're an extremely militant force. Even their design is based on the oldest war game known to man: chess. That said, they have done a lot of good for the universe. With their massive nomadic fleet, they not only tried to halt the Varelsi's advance, but then orchestrated countless evacuation efforts after their inevitable loss. To some degree, their reach far extends beyond just the accomplishments tied to their name. This is due to the fact that they were originally one and the same with the Last Light Consortium, or LLC. As such, beyond military efforts, the UPR was also responsible for all sorts of research and technology. The LLC separated from the UPR after they failed to colonize Ekinar, pushed off-world by the Eldred. We'll talk more about the LLC next time, but this in turn led the UPR to settle with colonizing the eternal shithole that is Bliss. Not everything the UPR has done is noble, however. Most pressing is the existence and attempt to cover up the Rapid Deployment Corps, a series of lines of clone soldiers to be sent to die for the UPR, faster than having to wait for another generation of ordinary people to train. Several batches failed, including the WFO2's Whiskey Foxtrot's generation, and were promptly, and I quote, disposed of. Eventually, they developed the OM-83 clones, or Mikes, who were promptly deployed to the Guarding campaign in an effort to keep the Varelsi from darkening it. Also notably shady was the decision of how to handle the darkening of the Akaban system, which the Bliss-located base is named after. Despite other systems having a far greater number of settlers, they focused on evacuating Aplia N3 due to its people's natural sturdiness and strength, as they wish to conscript the refugees for their own forces. With that said, one of the most important Battleborn is a son of Aplia, Captain Trevor Gult. This career soldier grew up on Aplia 4 before enlisting at the age of 18 and serving with the Peacekeepers for somewhere in between 36 and 37 years. A skilled engineer and a believer in the message behind the UPR, Gult slowly began to recognize that the chain of command and strict regulations of the organization were getting in the way of fighting a two-front war with the Imperium and the Varelsi. It was only as Penarch was falling that Gult recognized he couldn't afford to wait any longer to act, and he began compiling a list of potential allies, ones that could connect him to every faction. Melka for the Eldred, Cleese for the LLC, Montana for the UPR, Reyna for the Rogues, and Deondi for the Generate, of course. When Penarch finally did fall, the captain sent out a message to anyone who would listen, proposing the multi-faction team that would become the Battleborn. Of course, his abandonment marked him as a traitor, but General Keith Bryant of UPR Command pardoned him, as he recognized Galt's intentions. Equipped with twin custom UPR-M8R tactical shotguns, makeshift mine traps called scrap traps, and a hook to draw on enemies, Galt does not hesitate to lead the charge. And, of course, he's a dramatic major cornball. Equally as dedicated to the cause as Galt is Battleborn's demo bird, Ernest Igrin. A flightless aviant from the planet Menach B, he was a career military bird. Sergeant Igrin's focus was on the training and building of special weapons teams, including explosive ordnance and bomb disposal. However, like so many planets before it, Menach B was doomed to be darkened. During a very shoddy UPR effort to evacuate the planet, Ernest went against direct orders in order to save 324 civilians trapped in a tunnel, which in turn earned him the Menach Wings of Valor. Like so many others, right after being evacuated, he was scouted by the UPR for his exceptional service and demolitions expertise. A valuable teaching asset to the military organization, he enjoyed a decorated career once more, gaining a reputation as, and I quote, one of the hardest, most disciplined instructors of his generation. However, much like Galt, the UPR proved ineffective against the unique threat posed by the Varelsi, and upon invitation from the captain, Ernest also left the Peacekeepers to join the Battleborn. Now a determined and deadly ball of bird, he has taken it upon himself to whip these, and I quote, worthless pukes into shape. There's no finer example of Ernest's idea of a worthless puke than August Benedict. On Menach, the cocky son of a bird served underneath Ernest, and despite his attitude, showed great aptitude with a rocket launcher. He was offered a chance to show this off during the darkening of Menach, where the injured aviant single-handedly defended 4 UPR transports, allowing them all to evacuate untouched. With that said, Benedict himself was not quite so fortunate. The Buteanin, a play on the subfamily of birds of prey Buteaninae, was injured and lost a great deal himself. Through a private letter written by Benedict several weeks after the darkening of Menach, we see that he lost his nestmate Circenae and his 5 children, Peck, Augie, Wisp, Seret, and Amandi. Still hopeful that they may be alive, Benedict fights on. With that said, spirit isn't enough to win a fight. After Menach B, Benedict lost all use of his left wing. Luckily for him, the UPR recognized his skill and cleared him for a bionic graft to allow him some semblance of flight. It took about 10 seconds after the process was done for Benedict to swear into the UPR and to start looking for a rocket launcher. Luckily for him, the UPR's friendliest bear had his back and offered a tour of the armory, where Benedict found and fell in love with the KX-13 auto-loading rocket launcher. However, there's more to the aforementioned friendly bear than just a tour. Montana is a bear-wrestling, minigun-toting, hardy son of Aplia 3, Moon N3. Formerly a lumber extraction specialist, his system was heavily prioritized for evacuation despite thin population due to its people's hardy nature. Of course, as soon as this UPR got their hands on him, they offered him the biggest fucking gun they could find and sent him to lay waste to their enemies. With a history of bare-handed fighting of silverback hide bears, no conflict proved too difficult for the lumberjack. He was there for the Akuni repulsion raids, the attempted colonization of Ekinar, and had to actually turn down promotions because he was having too much fun. Montana then went on to fight in the Garden Campaign alongside the Mikes, the Battle of Codex, and the War of Penarch, where he personally saved the life of Captain Trevor Gull. It's also worth noting that he narrowly avoided the slaughter at the Bliss colony of Akaban, which was named after his home star, after he left due to the robots getting too weird. Also worth noting is that he has his own theme song, and it's just beautiful. Equally as beautiful is Montana's best friend, the one and only Oscar Mike. Though maybe one and only might not be the best way to describe him, as he's one of the UPR's Rapid Deployment Corps' clones. RDC-OM83-1101 was bioengineered and trained to act as an assault soldier for the conflict over the Garden system. This conflict only lasted about a year, after which the leftover Mikes fought in order to establish a new home planet and their own monarchy. Despite no longer being in the service of the UPR as a Mike, Oscar made his way back to formally enlist, after which he served for 17 years alongside his best friend Montana, during which time Mike gained a hatred of spiders, particularly fascist spiders. With all of that said, Oscar Mike is ashamed of his identity as a clone, in part due to shady UPR propaganda. Before approaching this, we have to take a quick closer look at the RDC themselves. What they were doing was an ethical nightmare. They were clearly trying to hide something, as they told all of the troopers and anyone encountering them that looking at the face of one of the RDC troops would result in the onlooker exploding into flames. From concept art, we can see that Mikes are not human, and while this next part is complete speculation, there may be several species spliced, which would explain the secrecy. Additionally, the Mikes were intentionally made to be less intelligent, as earlier failed batches like Whiskey Foxtrots were smart enough to realize what was going on and how to escape it. Because of all of this, Mike spent a great deal of time hiding his past and identity, and is super happy to have a group of friends like the Battleborn. Not quite as happy as the last of the UPR Battleborn, and sort of the black sheep of the squad. Galilea Asmodeus, equipped with a standard shield and legendary blade Shadowcry reforged by Vowed Wrath, was a fighter for the Halician Corps and then a knight for the Arbiters of Being, a militant faction of the Eldred who stood against the unnatural process of generate sustainment. For centuries, the Generate had envied the natural longevity of the Halician's people, and historically, the Generates sought them to serve as acolytes. Perfect cover for Galilea when it was decided she should infiltrate the Generate Silent Sisters. over the course of approximately 18 years, she gained the trust and friendship of Umbralia Divya before eventually being forced to betray her. Due to their close ties, Umbra offered the Halicians sustainment, a process very rarely done, let alone to those outside of the Generate Order. This proved to be the perfect opportunity, and during the process Galilea attempted to destroy the Generate sustainment engine, wounding her in the process and imparting a variety of unheard of side effects. Fleeing back to the Eldred Observers, she began to see these effects, as in a fit of rage, her very aura killed Observer Ebris, leading to Galilea's self-imposed banishment and marking her as a threat to the Eldred. And really, what better place to be banished than a shithole like Bliss? There, Galilea would remain for at least 500 years, though the dates are a bit shaky, taking her exile to learn of her new dark nature and her own regrets, failing her people, her world, her order, and her close friend Umbralia. To quote Little Miss Sunshine here, "As penance for these crimes, I carry this burden, the weight of my guilt and the darkness it has wrought. There will be no redemption." It wasn't until that one Captain Trevor Galt started hearing rumors about the Wraith of Bliss that any action was taken. Striking out in search of a myth, Galt found an ally. A mostly close-knit group, all of the Peacekeepers stand united behind a single goal: to protect all of the free peoples of Solus. Each and every one has faced their own challenges, but are able to put it behind them in order to push back against the Varelsi and the Generate. Despite their more orthodox means of combat, they're still very much a force to be reckoned with. There's a lot here, but if you have any questions or comments on what I might have missed, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'll make sure to answer any questions I can, and those answers or comments on what I missed will go in the description as an addendum or appendix of sorts. Next time, we'll be looking at the Last Light Consortium and their wonderful war profiteering, though I am also working on another episode about the different species of Battleborn. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you liked this or learned anything from it. A fuck ton of work goes into these lore videos, and dropping a like or subscribing would be a huge honor. If you want to support me or these videos directly, my Patreon should be in an annotation and in the description. Until next time, beautiful Battleborn.